Now this is my fondant and I'm going to be using it to cover the first base cake, which is a dummy, before covering the real cakes. Now the fondant I'm using is the same fondant I have sent to the YouTube channel, because I have a YouTube channel. For those of you that don't know, it has been there. That fondant has been my recipe for years. I don't change it. I do not give people what I don't use. So if you want me to send it, I don't mind. I can drop the link here in the group so that everybody can watch the video. But that's the exact fondant I am using for the covering of this cake. Now just roll out. But there's a secret I need to tell you. Because this is a paneling method I am using, I added a little CMC to the fondant, again outside the one I've used to make it. Now this CMC I added is not much, it's just very little. It's to help me make it stronger fast. So because I'm doing a paneling method, after adding the CMC and taking my measurement and cutting, I set it aside for at least 30 minutes before applying it to the cake. The same thing I do even if it is cake, as long as it is a square cake. Now when you apply it to that cake, and it will be easier for you to cut out any excess on the fondant. Now I divided the fondant that I'm rolling to enable me measure easily. So you bring the dummy, it's one of the old dummies that I have been using. So you bring it, as you can see, it's 12 inches by 10 inches high. And then you take your measurement. The first measurement is the up. After applying the up, I will cut out separately all the sides and set them aside to dry. So I'm taking the measurement of the side, and the measurement of the side is 12 inches by 10 inches high. And after getting this measurement, I'll get a board and use it to place the fondant, the measured fondant, for it to set for at least 30 minutes. But if I'm not doing this paneling method, I will just go ahead and use my fondant on top of the cake without having to add the CMC. Now, what I normally use for my dummy is shortening. I do not use water. I do not use butter. Shortening, but one thing I do is I apply it very generously on the dummy. So this one is the up one. I do not need to allow this one to firm up, because this one is the one I'm going to be turning upside down before adding the rest of them. So use your smoother to smoothen it out. And after that, you place a board on top and turn it upside down. But before you do that, you must sprinkle some icing sugar on top. This time it has to be icing sugar because you are working with fondant. Take note of that. When you are working with fondant, you use icing sugar separator. That is using your icing sugar as separator. Now there's something you must know. You don't use shortening directly inside your fondant. It will make your fondant to be tearing. The only thing you can use even as a separator is icing sugar. Remember, when steaming your cake, if it is icing sugar, everything will just turn to the same color. But if it is corn flour, you will not be able to remove the color because the corn flour cannot blend well with your fondant when already placed on the body of the cake. So now I have flipped it over. The next I'm going to do now is to start trimming and at the same time adding my fondant. But remember, after trimming, I must set it aside first. So if you see me adding any fondant that has been cut before, that fondant has stayed for at least 30 minutes. So I'm trimming it. You have seen I've been able to trim the front. I'm trimming the sides now. So I'll go and keep it one side because I also want this one to firm up. If you don't allow it to firm up, even when you're putting the next fondant, the under will be shaking. It will be shrinking. So now these ones I'm rolling out, I'm going to be allowing them to firm up before using it. Now divide the paste and get out your measurements. And with the help of my scraper, I am cutting it out. The scraper helps a lot as it is a straight something that can give you a very long straight cut at once. So I've been able to measure my 10 inches by 12 inches by 10 inches high. Now remember, when I'm measuring this, I try allowing it to be longer than the height to enable me trim it well by the time the paste is ready. So that is it. I'm setting it aside. I'm also measuring another one and I'm also setting it aside. When they become firm up, I will now start adding it to the cake. But I want you to know that they are a bit longer than the cake by little. I'm doing the third one now. In fact, that is how I did all of them, to be able to use it on the dummy cake. So measure again and cut out the third one. Remember, the top side of the dummy is covered. Already, I am now covering the other four sides of the dummy. But before going ahead to do that, I must allow my paste to firm up. Don't forget, I did not just start applying it directly on the dummy. I have to repeat myself over and over again for you to really understand that I am serious on what I'm talking about. Remember, I'm measuring with my ruler and I've told you that it's 12 inches dummy by 10 inches high. This iron ruler is actually helping a lot. But the only thing is that I try at least to add 1 to 2 inches on top so that it will enable me to create a very nice cut. After measurement, place on top of your board and set aside again to firm up. Now roll out another one cut out all the excess and then confirm your measurement placed on top of the board to firm up, and that's the final one. So now get your dummy. It's been 30 minutes already, and now I want to start. Remember, the upside that was covered was turned upside, so the red paste is now under the dummy. Don't forget. So now I want to start applying the sides of the dummy. So with my board, I will just apply, and I want to show you something. You will see how straight it will become without shaking. At this point, you just lap it well on the side of your dummy, and with your craft knife, you gradually cut it out. Now for any square cake that I want to cover using a paneling method, this is the method I normally use because it's so easy. All you needed here is a little patience. I'm applying the other side of the dummy to position another fondant. So this is it. See how straight it is. At this point, when you want to cut, all you need to do is to hold it down with your smoother, and then using your sharp knife, you just cut it out, trim it out, and it will be very sharp. So I'm now cutting. This time I'm not even placing my smoother, but it will give me exactly what I want. So have you seen that? See? Just use your smoother to smoothen the edge. So now you begin. Continue to smoothen it until you get it perfect. So now we have done the two parts. It's remaining the two parts. Now apply the other side also. Like I said, always be generous with your shortening so that it will hold it firm. Now apply the third side of the fondant and begin to hold it down with your smoother as you go ahead and smoothen it also. But make sure you position it well before doing that. After that, you just trim off the excess using a very sharp small knife. We have a craft knife we normally use to do this. After smoothing it, all you need to do is to trim off the excess, placing your smoother at the back of the excess and then using your small knife to trim out. And that side is also ready. Now remaining one side of the dummy. Now for the final part of the dummy, all you need to do is to make sure that the fondant is at equal size with the side of the dummy. Since there is excess by left and right, if you don't make it to be equal size with the dummy, those excess will not allow it to enter easily. So place it on that side and then using your smoother, smoothing very well, then trim off the two excess. You can see how I did it. When you place your smoother on the body of the cake, don't destroy your smoother. You are not being hard with the knife. Just gradually remove this, okay? And then use your two smoother to smoothen the sharp edge more. It's already sharp, but just to like smoothen it in such a way that it will look very unique. As you are doing this, somehow you are still arranging it to look more fine. Now do the same thing on the other side, positioning your smoother at the back of what you're about to trim and following it up with your knife at the same time. And you can see you're good to go now. So still use the same smoother, smoothing it very well. The bottom side now, a part that you are going to flip back and also trim off the excess. The same way you did that of the side is the same way you are going to be doing the side now facing up. So begin to trim it out, making sure you are laying your knife on top of the dummy or on top of the cake, whichever one you are covering is the same method, don't forget. Just go around with this and you are good to go. Then apply some shortening at the bottom and then place the board and return it to the normal position. Then when you flip it over, you adjust it to make sure there is no space between the up paste and the side paste. First with your hand and then with your smoother. So after, the next thing you are going to do is to steam the cake. To remove all the icing sugar on the body of the cake, which I'm going to just show you in one of the videos how to steam, but I don't think I did it here. Okay, but I know so many of us that are in the cake industry already know what steaming is. So, but for those that is not aware of it, I'll just show it in one of the cakes that I'll be showing, one of the designs I'll be showing. So that is it. The next you steam and your cake is ready. Okay? See you in the next class.